Hi, good morning, good after, well, good day. It's Memaw, and I'm here to reminisce a little bit more. Um, my brother watched the videos, which is amazing, and pointed out to me that the car I learned to drive in was a Plymouth Valiant. Now, I don't remember owning a Plymouth Valiant. I thought that car was called a Nash Rambler, but I had it wrong. I have a lot of things wrong, so just understand that. But that's not a major thing. But yeah, if you look up Plymouth Valiant, it was a lime green, ugly vehicle. So look that one up if you're interested in the vehicle part of this. This will just be a random sampling of things we did as things that went on when we were children. One of them was that we used to make homemade ice cream all the time in the summertime. And we'd do it out on the patio. My dad would, in the beginning, would be sitting there cranking that, because it was hand crank, and he'd be cranking that ice cream and putting the ice in and getting it all ready. And my mom always made the recipe out of canned milk. Such a good flavor. I mean, there's nothing better than homemade ice cream made with canned milk. And she also would make hot fudge. And she'd make that hot fudge, I know, using squares of chocolate, unsweetened chocolate, and sweetened condensed milk. But I would try to make it that way, and it always came out too thick or something. So I know there must have been another ingredient that she added, but I don't know what it was. One of these days, I'm going to look up that recipe and see if I can find one online that was the recipe, because it's so good. Anyway, that was a fun thing we did a lot. And one year, the brine, which is the salt water, ice salt water around the container that freezes the ice cream, seeped into the ice cream, seeped into the container somehow. And so the ice cream was salty. I don't know if it contaminated the whole batch. I kind of think it did, because I sort of remember being so disappointed because you got your mouth all ready for that good ice cream and it took forever. I mean, it would just run forever before it quit, and you're all ready and then it's salted. So that was the only time I remember that happening, but stuck in my head. So when you kids, my kids, your parents were born, and we made homemade ice cream. Then we always did it in the kitchen sink, put the container in the kitchen sink so that I could keep jabbing that runoff valve and make sure it didn't plug up so we didn't contaminate the ice cream. We at some point in time, my dad got. I always thought he fixed the machine himself so that it would turn on its own somehow. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I always thought. But at any rate, at some point in time, it was an electric one that ran without having to crank it. So my dad, I'm sure, was very happy about that. So that was a fun thing we always did, looked forward to in the summertime. It would be one of those times like following my dad in the lawnmower. Nothing smells better than fresh mowed lawn. Another thing that we had around when we were kids, and I'm thinking that you probably, if you watched Grease 2 ever, they talked about the green stamps when the girl was pumping gas at the gas station, and the lady asked for her green stamps. Well, we had green stamps. We also had blue chip stamps, but they always it was always green. S&H green stamps were the main thing. And with these green stamps, whenever you bought anything at a store that offered green stamps, you'd collect these green stamps and go stick them into a book. You had these little books that they'd give you, and you'd stick your green stamps in there. And then in Fresno, they had a green stamp store or it could have been a blue chip store, I don't know, but there was a store there, and you could go take your booklets in there and redeem them for stuff. It was so cool because it was like free whatever, just for saving green stamps. They should still do that. That was a fun thing to do. And back then, when, again, I'll reference the Grease too, at the gas station, they were always called service stations because when you went there and bought gas, you got serviced. And so I don't think they can legally call them service stations anymore because you don't get any of this stuff. But back then, you didn't pump your own gas ever. And you'd pull up there and they had a dinger running across where you got gas. And when you ran over the dinger, it told the guy inside that somebody was out there. And so he'd come running out and ask you what you wanted. And so he would start putting the gas in. And while the gas was going in, he would wash your windshields, have you pop the hood so he could check your oil, and he would check the air in your tires all the way around. And sometimes wash your back window, like when we had the station wagon, he would also wash the back window. He would do all of that while the gas was pumping at free of charge. And then you'd, of course, get your green stamps after you got your gas. But it's amazing to me how much we got for our money back then compared to how much you get for your money today. You could say it's relevant as far as compared to what we made back then. Things were, of course, a lot cheaper, but they were also bigger. If you got a candy bar, you got a candy bar. They kept shrinking them, but you paid the same or more money, but the bar itself would shrink. A lot of things were that way. The sizes of them just shrunk, and you were still paying the money for them. So I don't think it equals. I think we pay a lot more for goods today than we did back then, compared to what we made. But I mean, because I remember when Peepaw and I got married, he made about, I don't even remember. He made about $45 maybe a week, but it could have been less than that. And you could go buy groceries for the week for, a whole lot less than that. It was, and our first place we rented was something like $25 a month. So I don't know, it was just different. But one thing that they did, that happened at least 1 year. I don't know beyond this, but when I was a teenager, I wasn't driving yet, but my sister was, and they had a gas war, and the prices of, now back then, you would have a gas station like almost on every corner, wherever they were allowed to be. There would be one on every corner. And so they had this gas war, and the price of gas went down to 10 cents a gallon. 10 cents. And my sister and I were really into boys, and back then they used to hire young boys, high school age boys, to pump the gas and wash the windshields, do all that stuff I just said. And so we knew this cute boy worked at this gas station that was down the street from us, and so we went down there and we'd buy 10 cents worth of gas, just, because we didn't have any money. I mean, but that was a whole gallon gas. That was 10 cents. We'd go to each station, you see, and buy 10 cents worth of gas. It was totally cool. I can't prove that, but it happened. I know people aren't going to believe that, but I think gas at that time was probably normally around 20 cents a gallon, 25 cents a gallon, if they didn't have the price wars. Of course, I don't think they'll have price wars anymore. That was amazing thing about the the times that I grew up in, and that was teenage times. So that would have been in the late 50s, or no, early 60s. So in the 50s, I can't imagine when I was a kid what the gas must have cost. It must not have been a lot, because we would go. I think I told you before that one of the favorite things my dad liked to do was to go on drives. We would just go, and he'd say, "Get in the car, kids. We're going on a drive." And we used to we used to do that a lot. So it was a cheap way to have fun. And my dad just loved going exploring. Take a road, see a road, take it. Didn't. I swear I think I might have said this, but I sort of remember being out in the desert somewhere, him stopping and getting out and looking to make sure there was a road, because there wasn't. It dropped off, so we were out somewhere weird. But anyway, that could be something I remember that didn't happen to him. Anyway, my dad, because this happened all the time. I mean, we would do this a lot of weekends. He would say, call us all home and say, "Get in the car, we're going for a ride." So this one time, and this could have happened, I sort of remember this happening more than once, but at least this one time, we piled in the car, and us kids are not thrilled about this idea, because we'd rather play with our friends than roam around in the countryside in a car. But we got in, and we started driving, and we just kept driving and kept driving, and we kept thinking, God, this is the longest weekend day, evening drive we've ever taken. And all of a sudden, well, I guess we sort of knew, because when we used to go to the coast when I was a kid, my dad always told us, because we'd say, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" And he got tired of answering us, and he'd say, "Watch the trees. When you see the moss growing on the trees, then we're close." And so we'd always watch for the moss on the trees. Well, this long drive we're having, we started noticing moss on the trees, so we're in the back seat going, "Oh, I think maybe we're going to the ocean." And we got all excited. And so we ended up at the ocean, and then we were all upset because Dad didn't tell us we were going to the ocean, so we didn't have our bathing suits or anything. And so what are you going to do at the ocean if you can't go out and play in the waves? And they had packed the whole back of the car with all of everything we needed. I can't remember if we actually stayed the night or if that was just something we did one day. I can't remember that part, but I remember that was amazing to me, that our bathing suits and towels and everything, picnic, everything we needed was in the trunk of the car. We didn't even know it. That was fun. So to have a cool dad when you're growing up is cool. So Joshy, you guys are having a baby. Be a cool dad. You don't have to do anything that costs a lot of money. Just be there and have fun with your kids. One of our little drive around trips that we went on around Fresno was in the country, and we were in the pickup, so we were sitting on the back bench in the pickup, and Bobo, our dog, was back there with us, and my dad saw a skunk on the side of the road, so he pulled over and said, "Kids, look, there's a skunk on the side of the road." He just wanted us to see the skunk, because he's always showing us stuff. And so we got all excited about seeing the skunk. So then we called Bobo over and said, "Bobo, look, a skunk." Only we didn't hold on to Bobo when we called him over. So Bobo shot out of the back of that pickup and grabbed hold of that skunk. He didn't kill him or anything. He grabbed hold of him. That skunk sprayed him. And he just made this face, and he wouldn't have nothing to do with that skunk after that. But my dad was very upset with us for not holding on to him. We didn't know. And this dog stunk so bad. And this was when I was a young teenager, probably, I don't know, 13 or 14. But at the age where boys were important. And I can remember coming home and getting into town. And when you were driving down the road, the skunk smell wouldn't be there because the wind would blow it away, so we can't smell it, you know. But when we got into town and he pulled up to a stop sign, once you stopped, that smell just enveloped our vehicle. It was so horrible. And Bobo, of course, is right there with us, and he stinks to high heaven. We all did because, he rubbed up against us and everything, so it was not good. And and at one point we pulled up at this stop sign, and the car next door had this guy in it that he was a man. I mean, but we're kids, we don't know. He is a very young man, but very cute. And Nina and I both had a crush on him. He worked at my dad's lab, and we had a crush on him. And he pulled up right next to us. Never said anything about the smell, but we were so embarrassed because we stunk so bad. We were like, I don't know. Anyway, it was not good. That was a fun time. When we used to go to Bass Lake, I told you all about our camping and everything there. It was very cool. Across the lake from where we camped, there was a place called the Falls. It's still called the Falls. But at the Falls, there was a building, a bar, I guess, that had a big dance floor and a big patio that you could go out on and look out at the ocean. Up on stilts. The patio was up on stilts. It was really cool. But next to the falls, and the reason they called it the Falls was because there was a creek, a river, halfway between a creek and a river, a large creek that flowed down into Bass Lake. Small river. It was fast, flowing falls. Came over this huge rock. And the kids would all go out there and slide down this rock into the lake. I can't believe how dangerous that was because you could fall and crack your head open so easy, but we did it anyway. But they'd slide down on all sorts of things, but we slid down on our butts. Oh my God, we wore our bathing suits out so that the back of our bathing suits had holes in them. So embarrassing, but that was so much fun. And they also had dances that they'd throw there. And again, young teenagers, maybe us, probably about 15 or 16 at this point. My folks took us over there and let us go to the dance. And so, you could... I don't know, they played really cool music, and we'd go in there and pretend like we were somebody. It was very cool, fun stuff. My brother reminded me of those times that we did that. Another thing that my dad did that was really cool was build us a tree house. Now, our tree house wasn't really a house. It was a platform that he built up in the tree. But it was really cool, and I think I might have told you about it already. It had a rope ladder to get up there, but I wasn't able to use the rope ladder. I was too lame. So we'd put a regular ladder up to get up there. But my brother could climb up the rope ladder because he could do anything. When we went skiing, I told you about our boat we had, the homemade boat, ski boat. Well, and we'd go skiing, usually at Bass Lake, or I think it was Pine Flat, the lake, Pine Flat Lake, was my dad's favorite place because the water was smooth. A lot of times you could find these real smooth areas. It wasn't over Bass Lake, too many people, that was all choppy. So usually we'd go up there. But when we learned to water ski, I fell over all the time. Oh my God, that hurts your nose to fall over in that water. It goes right up your nose. But my brother would get out there and put the skis on, and before the boat took off, he's already standing up on the skis. He could do anything. And when my dad got a single ski, my brother just got on it and went. I don't think he ever fell over. He just got on it and went. I never could do it. I couldn't do the single ski. Nina, my sister, could do the single ski too, but not me. I was too lame. But yeah, he was one of those guys that could do anything. So he could climb up into our treehouse with, but that treehouse was still there when we sold the property. Certainly wouldn't be anything you'd want to chance being up in. But one year, my dad, there was a swarm of bees out, and I might have told you this. There was a swarm of bees out in the tree in the front of our house, and my dad wanted to have honey, and he said that meant, because it was this big ball of bees all balled together, he said that meant that the queen was in there, and if we could capture her, we could have honey. So he took a box out there and sat it under the ball of bees, and then he told us to go get in the house because these bees were going to swarm. I don't know if he had some protection on, I don't know, but anyway, so he put the box underneath the bees, and then he took a stick and he whapped the branch the bees were on, and the whole ball of bees fell right into the box, and he closed it up real quick. And we and our little dog Scotia, little bitty poodle dog Scotia, was out there, and we didn't realize it, and the bees attacked her. They swarmed on her. It was terrible. We took her in and shoved her in a tub of water, got the bees off. She was fine, but what a scary ordeal for that little girl. She was so cute and innocent. But we got these, Dad got these bees, and then in the nighttime when they calmed down, or he may have had something that he put on them to calm, I don't remember, but he took that box up into the treehouse because we no longer used the treehouse as a treehouse. We hardly ever played in it anymore. So he took the bees up into the treehouse, and he set it up there, hoping that they would nest up there, and they did. They actually had built honeycombs and everything up there. One day, suddenly they left, but there was all these honeycombs up there. We never got any real honey out of it, but it was cool to see these cool honeycombs. Okay, I'm going too long. I'm sorry about the last one. I didn't mean to go. I'm gonna try not to go too long. So I'm not gonna go any longer than that. That's what I'm remembering today, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and that it, maybe you learned something, or maybe I repeated everything, but okay, that's the way it goes. Love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.